Okay, now that we have our bait runner hooked up to the proper pole, this is a 7-bearing Avenger bait runner and an 8-foot 3-inch medium action pole. So it's a 2-piece pole, so it comes apart for easy transport. Talk a little bit about the line. This is a monofilament line, also known as a mono line. It's basically plastic. It's been around for a lot of years. This is the kind of line that you want to put on your bait runner. This here is a 15-pound gold color. Personally, I like the gold and the yellow because it's a little easier to see. There is another type of line out there. It is called a braided line, and basically it's a spider woven and creates a lot more strength for the diameter. We're not going to put this on our reel. This type of line is really rough on a reel, and it'll also tear up the ferrules on your pole. But we will be using it later as a leader line, and we'll talk about a little bit about that later. To start with, we're going to talk about threading your rod. Make sure that the line is behind the bail, and it goes through each one of the ferrules. Because the last thing you want to do is get ready for a setup and notice that you missed a ferrule. Okay. Talk a little bit about the setup. The setup's really made up of the top setup and the bottom setup. We're going to start with the top setup, which is made up of the weight. We're going to use a 1.5 ounce slider weight. Sliders work extremely well. What's really nice about this here is that it'll have less ability to get caught and snagged in the water because of the way it's made. So it kind of slides across. Next thing you're going to need is some type of a rubber stopper. We just buy these little tiny rubber stoppers here, and we'll go ahead and thread that on. And then we'll use what we call as a snap swivel. And snap swivel will do a couple things. First of all, it's going to keep the weight from sliding all the way down your hook. And then the second thing it is, it's going to make it really easy to switch from setups, from a carp setup to a cat setup. So really, even if you want to fish for cat, if you want to fish for carp, you can use the exact same top set. Justin's about 6 or 7 times, and he's just going to tie that snap swivel right to the 15-pound test line. Just like that. Now here, basically what we've got here is a top set, and this is really nice. Now here's how a slider hook works. It sits in the bottom of the lake or river like this, and then obviously you'll have your hook and everything tied to your. And when a fish takes it, notice that when it takes the initial pull, it's going to slide right through that slide sinker, so it doesn't know that it's necessarily on a line, and it's going to keep sliding that way. Because if a fish feels a tug from the weight, it may very likely spit it out. So now that we have our top rig and our slip sinker set up here, we're going to talk about the bottom setup. For carp, believe it or not, for large carp, we're going to use a much smaller hook than we do for catfish. This is an example of a number 4 hook, and this is an example of a number 2 hook. Okay, a 2 hook or a 4 size hook is perfect for carp. However, I want you to notice the difference between these 2 hooks. Notice that the eye on this hook comes out, and on this hook comes inward. I prefer a number 4 hook that moves inward because it turns much easier once it's in the carp's mouth. You're going to get fewer spit outs by using a number 4 or a number 2 inward hook, which example is what this is. In this case, I've tied a number 4 inward hook to a 40-pound braided line for my lead, and I can just easily just snap right onto my top set and lock it shut, and now I've got a complete carp setup to go out and catch some really big carp. Now, if I wanted to change that to a, let's say, a catfish setup, this is how easy it is. You can just buy the Eagle claw snells. We've seen these at Walmart. This is about $1.50. And if you want a larger hook to it, let's say that now I want to put this hook to do some catfish. All I've got to do is unsnap the carp setup and snap right in for catfish, and that's as easy as it gets. That's what's really nice about having a good swivel hook, swivel snap to change in and out between carp and catfish.
Smile.
Well, I got some pre-made leadered braided line on right now with the inward facing hook. They take some time to make, but if you don't want to go through the hassle to make them, you can buy some of these at your larger bait shop. They got swivel already attached with the knot. They come with a hook, and they usually come with these little yellow or any color corn pieces they come across with. It costs you about $1. And these you can buy at Walmart, catfish or smaller hooks with the mono braided line, about 40 pounds.